Hi, everybody. Welcome to our 9th and final session here at PDMI West. We appreciate all of you who have made it through the entire event. And we've been very, very, very happy with the attendance of the event so far, and no more happy than about the people who stay all day on the last day. So thank you very much. One last time, we got to thank our sponsor at Mojo, Greg Silvano from Mojo, with a brief message.
Before the session begins, I'd just like to say that Mojo is a very proud sponsor of the education series. We hope you go to every session, ask lots of questions, and learn new things. Enjoy your day. We'll see you soon.
And with that, with no further ado, I want to welcome our group. We have a pinch hitter today for Leah. It's Maurice, and I'm sure that Lindsey will give a little bit further introduction. So Lindsey, take it away.
Great, thanks for coming. I will start with Celeste. She's described by MSNBC as giving the cosmetics industry a makeover. So she's an innovative, dynamic, and respected expert on beauty, technology, lifestyle trends, customer service, and brand loyalty. She's a recurring guest expert for health and beauty segments on MSNBC, Fox, and The Doctors. As the CEO and co-founder of Skin Authority, a skin, health, beauty tech company, she applies her software technology and research background to develop patent and license groundbreaking ingredient technology, as well as a patent-pending virtual coaching platform to engage consumers in a two-way dialogue with certified skincare professionals, creating a personalized program, providing ongoing support and a subscription product delivery. In 2020, Skin Authority hosted more than 500,000 consumer video consultations. She previously built 2 technology companies, each of which were acquired by the leading publicly held company in their sector. So she is a wonderful entrepreneur and really a trailblazer in the beauty industry. So next we have Maurice. He is the co-founder, and he's also the chief marketing officer. He spent his career developing his mission, led strategic visions for startups, and leading branding efforts for top companies such as Intel, Compaq, Hanes, Steiner Leisure, and now Skin Authority. His superhero talent is unifying data and analytics across channels to get the heart of what consumers need to help brands navigate the evolution of their voice as they transition or expand from B2B to engaging directly with consumers. And our next guest is Fred Gordon from Mute6. He is the director of paid social at Mute6. They're a D2C agency that generates among the highest Facebook and ad ROIs. He focuses on driving limitless scale using comprehensive cross-channel strategies and leads with recognition that every brand is unique and the combination of channels in the strategic approach must be nimble, innovative, and at times unconventional. So he's mastered the complicated dance between direct response, creative branding, and strategic media buying. And what sets he and his team apart is going beyond media buying and into the psychology of customers. And he gives back to the community through a number of annual initiatives supporting human rights, animal welfare, and environmental issues. So we have an all-star team up here, and let's get into really the good stuff.
Let's do it.
Oh, that's my cue. All right, so introduction to Skin Authority. Celeste, would you like to introduce the brand?
So she said, we founded the company around the concept that everyone deserved great access, not only to amazing skincare products, but also really the professional guidance. It's necessary to help you really ensure that we pluck it, we peel it, we shave it, we tattoo it, but we forget that this thing called skin is actually a huge part of our overall health. It makes vitamin D, which is really important for our immune function to work. So for us, guidance and making professional guidance, licensed professionals available to you virtually for free to guide you through what's right for you was essential to the brand. And so for us over the years, and before we get into the slide of where all the touches are, we really saw an opportunity to go into professional settings and to not only provide the kinds of treatments and services, but initiate a dialogue with a consumer in that setting where a professional's touching you, and really use digital technology to marry with that physical touch to follow you home. And when we started the company, as you can imagine, 15 years ago, there wasn't this idea of us doing two-way video Zooms like we do today. So we patented a platform to empower us to do that. And as we started doing that, we really talked live with people from their homes, but more importantly, talked live from the retail store so that they could talk to a virtual coach off the shelf as they grabbed the product, and that person followed them home. And we've been doing that ever since. And one of the things we talk about now is that's allowed us in hospitality in particular, but now as we looked at retail and all the other things, so we can go to that slide, to really have all these touch points. So you might meet Skin Authority in retail, in room, in one of the amazing resort partners we have, Ritz-Carlton, Montage, whatever it might be, and you can buy that retail in the room. But more importantly, that retail is a facial experience that on your phone, one of our professionals guides you through how to do a facial in your room and starts that dialogue. When we look at corporate meetings, we're huge in terms of gifting in corporate meetings, but also now, believe it or not, corporations, because people are remote, are doing things like virtual facial fests, where including men, we have 30% men on there getting in and facially together as part of a team building session. And when we look at things in treatment rooms, professional, traditional aesthetics and spa rooms, to what we do with our retail partners at traditional brick and mortar, but even teaming with subscription box partners like FabFitFun and doing virtual events and live events. But our home, because now we do Facial Club, which is extending everything into the home and bringing the facial room into your home, and you pay to be a member by the year. And we take care of all your treatments, all your home care, and all your guidance virtually for a year membership. To what we do with live streaming, like we'll talk about a little bit today, but now we're even live streaming direct from our website. This Sunday we're doing an event where we streamed direct from our website into a home, but also broadcast on Facebook, Instagram, and through publishers. So there's so many ways that we're touching the consumers now, and it's really to the point that everybody talked about in all the panels today. How do we unify our brand messaging of that personalized experience that we want? We don't want to just do these things with you. Skin is very personal. How do we learn from all of these touches to create a personal narrative about you? But more importantly, the opportunity really is in the small moments. It's all those little things today. People talked about how few people actually go through the actual journey on their website that a consumer goes through and how important it is. It's the same thing. Go through the journey of all those touch points. If I'm a consumer that's been touched in all those places, how do I put opportunities in all those small touches? So for us, it's, you might be buying the product and you actually get a result immediately. So for us, we've got to make our product work or all this falls apart. We need to make a change the minute you put it on your skin. And that gives you this psychological response that, oh my God, this is cool, I want to continue with that. To how we transform a retail experience from being strictly a human touch experience that ends when you walk out those four walls, but through our connection of helping that salesperson or that professional in that space talk to you and engaging the coach right then and there through a QR code that then follows you home, and you now have met your coach that you'll talk to when you go home. It's really about immersing them in this very personalized experience that's a two-way dialogue that we continue, and it's hyper-personalized in that it's about not just advertising. I know we talk a lot about that here, but advertising is really how do I create this brand relationship that every time my brand's in front of you, you want to learn more and you have an emotional connection to what we're saying, to how we're using technology and what we're doing to socialize. We had something called Facial Fest. We have hundreds of people facialing together on Zoom, and they don't know each other, but they're texting and chatting each other, and they've made best friends, and they've never physically met. So it really is the power of how do we take all these small moments. And then this is where the science gets into it and what we do, because we're really a beauty tech company under the hood, which is everything we're collecting. We have live conversations. As you shared, we had over 500,000 of those last year. So we created a platform that actually gathers all the data, digitizes all the dialogues, the psychographics about you, and ties that into what we learned with transaction data and so forth. So what we're doing when you touch us on the web or through a social network or email, through all of our physical locations and our events and our destinations to what we do at traditional retail. But we have to unify all of that. And through that, we create a personal narrative about you. That's your attitudinal, aspirational, psychographic information. And the cool thing for us is on top of all that, that's all driven, we can use augmented reality, AI, that's our backgrounds, we understand it, but it all falls short because what a machine can tell us about you does not take into account your self-esteem or how you see yourself. And that's where the dialogues, the videos, that's where they come in. What we learn about you is the human knowing that sits on top and helps to guide a personal narrative that then we translate to how we support you, the events you're invited to, the experiences we serve up to you, the education, prescribing, and we provide all of that to all of our partners so that we can make sure that at the physical location or the events that information about you is helping to shape the experience you have at those touch points. But it's also information we share with our creative partners and vice versa. They give us a lot of information back that we wouldn't know from all our mechanics of what we should deliver. But the impact to us as a business, because someone said today, advertising is about producing sales. When you see what we do, it lowers our acquisition cost dramatically because we're using all those touches to acquire, and some of them are literally pennies. A higher average order rate, our average order dollars, the retention that we have of the customers, lifetime value, those are our KPIs that really say, how are we doing a good job? And the best thing of all is the margins, because when we do all of this, and all those other pieces fall into play, we're able to see margins we could never realize if we were just a product company throwing something on a shelf and relying on someone else to communicate our brand.
I'm curious, Maurice, just in terms of your role as CEO or co-founder and CMO, this looks like a good dashboard for a CMO to be working from. So I know that you are doing some of the marketing in-house, and then you have different agency partners. What are some of your key metrics that you're looking at when you're looking at this? How does it all tie together? And with the relationship building, how does that relationship building and how are you measuring it? And how does it impact everything in the whole ecosystem?
Well, I think measurement is already all the way to the right on the business impact. But what I would add to that is what I'm specifically trying to do is say, here's how we operate our business. How do we as an organization create a somewhat frictionless way to move all this collection data through this pipeline? Mm-hmm. Because there's lots of ways that we collect our data. We collect our data as, from direct dialogue or through a website or through social media. These are all friction points. These are all stopping points. But how do we collect that data in a way that we can analyze it and put that human knowing on top of it that makes it actionable at a place where the consumer feels that it's authentic, mm-hmm. and that it's actionable at a place that we are creating a true relationship with that customer. So my role is to try to figure out how to integrate this, all this technology and this vision in a way that really ultimately results in a relationship.
And it's interesting the way that you have built up all of these different distribution channels first, and then you have the one-on-one relationship with the consumer. And so many brands start with just direct to consumer, then they're all trying to go to retail afterward. How has that, it's almost like reverse engineering the whole model.
Well, as Celeste said, this journey's been 15 to 20 years in the making. When we started out, we were focusing on our hospitality segment as really the entry point for our vision. And, the amount of technology that's come into the marketplace in the last 15 years is phenomenal. So we have to keep up with that. How do we apply that technology to either acquire more data in a better way and make it useful at a lower cost? We started out with our hospitality partners where we got them to fax. We got them to fax.
Profiles.
So if you went into a spa at Ritz-Carlton, this was unheard of for Ritz-Carlton to share this data, but they were so convinced that this notion, because their brand was about relationships.
Right.
And so they wanted partners that fulfilled that brand.
But it was also the first affiliate model because we revenue shared, and to this day, revenue share everything we sell into the home to that partner. So they had a vested interest to marry the data, and we even had privacy issues at that time because they had their own pieces. So how we could do that with that consumer opting into that experience, which is why the digital connection happened at the location, because they opted in through that coaching session. So those were important things as we...
Yeah, so I was just saying, so, you know, just keeping up with the technology, keeping this vision, this chart has been with us, I would say. I mean, I think there's things that have added, social networking that even existing. So we added, plug it in, that's a collection point.
That's not true, there was MySpace.
You know, so I think that's really, really what my role in this is.
And what about some of the brands that you have worked with? Do you think, I mean, to say that you have distribution at Ritz-Carlton and Montage, et cetera, how has that improved the conversion percentages on the digital side? I mean, that's really like a stamp of approval. I mean, what weight has that carried?
There definitely is the halo effect of the relationship the consumer also already has with that brand. But also we have over 18,000 independent professionals selling our product in aesthetic rooms and things like that. And you know, they've built a very personal relationship with the person they're touching. So, you know, there is that idea that the partnership we have is a way of giving us some credibility as we go in, because they chose our brand, right? But also that they're entrusting us with carrying that person home. And I think, to your point, that lets us leapfrog some of building that trust that you might have to do just through words. But here's the thing, you know, when you talk to Fred, I think the thing that we've done, though, is now that we want to scale that to people that haven't met our brand that way, how do we digitally reproduce what we've learned about all of this so that we can reproduce that initiate that human touch to a stranger?
Fred, what is the challenge? I mean, we're talking about somebody having, you know, a 60-minute experience or a long experience, and your challenge is you have to hit them fast and make them trust you in 30 seconds. So how have you taken what they've built and then been able to digitize it, really?
That's the really challenging part, like with such a great offering that Skin Authority has, and like this relationship that they've built with their consumers, is that like person-to-person contact. But there's a lot of value in that you can display through the right creative. So taking like actual live skin coaching sessions, simplifying it so it's really digestible, and then figuring out what is that first 3 seconds of the video that's going to get them hooked is really where our like systematic testing comes in, where we're testing should we start with someone getting a facial or someone talking directly to camera. We're testing these things out to get people to stop in their newsfeed, stop their thumbs, pay attention to the video, understand the value that they could get if they just click the Learn More button or Shop Now button, and come over to the site where we kind of finish the job of hook, line, and sinker, getting them to sign up and get their own skincare coach.
And I know one of your superpowers was just psychographic-wise, behaviorally, how do those two mix in terms of the information that you hear people talking about? Like, what emotional moments do you get that make somebody go and take action?
For skincare, it's a lot of before and afters, although you're not allowed to use before and afters in a lot of social media platforms. So there's
That's another challenge. Yeah.
There's little tricks that you can do, like having those on the website is definitely a must-have. But when it comes to the actual creatives, like testimony is really big there. They can speak back to like when they first started with Skin Authority and how like after so many sessions, they've seen so much improvement. Or we can do like longer progressions of that kind of sneak through the system where Facebook doesn't know.
So are you selecting the different people based on age and gender and based on their interests, or how are you selecting the different people that you have on camera?
Well, using the data that Maurice and Celeste have been gathering for so long has been really helpful and given us an edge when it came to building out our first like social media campaigns and really taking the next level. All that information is super powerful in the first like sets of audiences, but then we start building it out based on our own knowledge of the industry and how we've seen things work. When it comes to like who is in camera, and who is like what the message is. That does come from some testing and our own like intuition for like what is that first 3 seconds. We really got to look at what is like trending in the ether of social media. The best ads, I think, don't tell you they're an ad. They come off, they sneak through your news feed, and you think it's just your friend telling you about this great service they found. And then by the end of the 15-second or 30-second video, you're like, wow, I need to go check this out. So that's really the power of social media marketing, is being able to sneak in underneath like the shield of like not wanting to be sold something, convincing them that they need it, and then closing the sale once they come to the site.
And Maurice, maybe you can talk a little bit about the influencer content too, because I think you're also leveraging the influencer content that you get too, correct?
100%. That's like the best way to feel more native and organic to the platform, is leveraging what is popular on social media. Like influencers are always selling something some way or another, but it may not be an actual ad. And so through our creative briefs, we help them like fine tune that messaging so that it comes across like very easy and simplified for the user. And they're hitting all of our best like USPs and even busting any objections someone might have before they even get to the site.
Do you want to talk to us about some of the things that you wind up putting in your briefs, like demographic information or what they do, like maybe an unboxing or any, I mean.
Yeah, like I think a while back, one of the big trends on TikTok was like the wipe it off style. So that was a really big hook and a great trend for a long time. I think for like future videos for us, we should look into these like voiceover, like it's almost like you're walking through a store or something where you have a voiceover telling you like what they're experiencing. Those are really popular right now. So it's really like, you can see what the influencer's sort of content is from like their past posts, and then just picking which ones sort of fit our demographic. And if they can make really good content, even if they're not exactly our demo, that's okay, because it's the content that really matters. If they have a better hook than, say, someone who is like the perfect demo, I'll choose the person who has the better hook.
Do you ever use any of the content like from these facial parties or anything like that? Like, you know, come join us type of thing, like you want to be part of this group?
Yeah, like as we're diving into like and building out our like repertoire of ads or library of ads, we had to start with the skincare coaches. Like you guys have recorded the actual like sessions, so you get like a live preview into what you would experience, and you get to instantly feel the value in that first like 30 seconds of the video to go, oh, hey, I could use this. Like it's been a year of quarantine, I can't go to the spa and get my facial and my recommendation, so this is like the solution to my problem that I have.
And how about, I mean, I think it's so interesting with your brand. I mean, you talk about affiliates, but affiliates mean something slightly different to you. You talk about influencers, you have the traditional influencers, but you also have these coaches. And so do you have coaches that have risen to the top as influencers, like your own influencers within influencers?
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you look at some of our best sales this year were from, like, for example, Modern Aesthetics. She did the skin suit video usage thing, and we had a huge return because she's a professional sharing, this is like my fave, this is what it is, this how, and by the way, this is how it looks on your skin, and here's my tip for how to apply it. And it seems really simple, but we couldn't have produced a super slick $40,000 video that had the same impact as that. And the other part is that, you know, for us, our hospitality segment was almost 80% of our revenues, and it all stopped March 16th around the world on that day. And the doors closed for 9 months. So when you think about that, the fact that we were able to then use all of our digital network to, one, compensate our partners who were closed, and we actually kept many of their staff employed.
Wow.
But the other side is to really be able to look at the fact that we were able to close that gap all the way within 10% of our revenues. So when you think about that, you know, in 16 months, you know, that's the other thing. It's the power of how you make sure that your physical location, and the fact that we are such a physical touch brand, that we aren't susceptible as an Achilles heel to what happens physically, because it might not be just COVID. I mean, look at the fires. We had
Right.
all of our top resorts close in Tahoe, because of the fires, or, there's always a hurricane, always an earthquake. There's always somebody closing, renovation, whatever it might be. So it makes you sort of, and you can extend that to traditional retail. It makes you sort of not as susceptible to the impact that has on your revenues.
You had mentioned to me when we spoke previously that regardless of household income, your average order value really remains firm. And, you could have very little money or a lot of money, and it really, your influencers have done such a good job building value that really price is not the issue. Like, they're already sold on it.
And I think that's true. It doesn't matter what you sell. I think if you meet a need, people are willing to invest in that. And because we do have such a human voice of knowing them, it does affect. I mean, by the way, just so you guys know, there is a typo. Our average order, I would love to tell you, is $244. I wish I could just pull that over, but it's $144, just so you know. I'm still proud of that, but it's not. I'm going to get to that $244, but it's not there. But the reason I say that is, honestly, our average order in a lower income demographic is higher than our affluent pieces. So there's a bit of aspiration in that too. So I think that, but my point is, in the poorest communities, it's 144. You know what I mean, on average. So it's really about investing in yourself. People really feel right now, especially because they're looking, no matter what your demographic is, you're having to go to school looking at yourself in a Zoom lens. You're having to work in a Zoom lens. It's really heightened how people perceive how their skin and their appearance is important. Because now it's a part of your work tool. You know what I mean? It used to be your wardrobe mattered. Now it only matters what happens from here on up. You have your fuzzy slippers and everything underneath. So it is really about that piece. So I think, that's one of the other parts that we see, is that self-care is really a message today that consumers want to care about.
So let's talk a little bit about your 2021 investment strategy. I know that you had tremendous growth. Can you talk a little bit about that growth?
Yes, I shared a little bit. I mean, obviously we grew. I mean, you have to grow the direct. I mean, our coaches went overtime on phones and emails, and what we did with these guys for our outreach, and we were really able to close that gap, 600% growth, in that time frame, direct to consumer. And when we look at that, the biggest thing that we really did was invest in specialists, really invest. And what I mean by that is, Facebook is ever changing, Instagram's ever changing, what we're doing on Sunday with live streaming, and you can't be an expert in everything. But you can have agencies that bring that expertise, and that's really what we found when we partnered with Fred and his team, was really, how we can really make sure that we have experts in every single group. That doesn't mean we're asleep at the wheel. Like, I never delegate brands, sorry. And he knows, but brand strategy, but it's like, but the reality is the value. I could never know what this whole team knows and what they do by pulse speed of what they do every day, not only for us, but all the other brands that they're learning from and bringing back to us. And I just think with all the change we talked about today, there's just no way you can humanly stay on top of every single, direction with technology changing at the rate it is. So I love the fact that I have this built-in team of experts that help to keep Maurice and I fresh, in addition to what we're learning managing our components of the business. And I think, if anything, that's contributed to our growth, because it's allowed us to move faster than we do. We're 100%, we have no outside investment. We've grown our company every step of the way by making money and being profitable. That's the only way we can fund our growth. So there's a lot riding on it, when we make these decisions. So this year, everything that we've done with our new affiliate platforms, everything we've done with advancing how we advertise in all these different forums, and what we do with email and text, and all of these things, but making sure we don't burn the consumer out by dive bombing them in all these different, so we've got to time all those touches and make them personalized. So I think that investment's been not only the dollars that we've spent with our partners like Fred, but it's the time and energy we spend together to have a strategy. And I think that's more, and to be true to that. And then these guys are great that we're always assessing daily. Are we screwing up? Are we doing this right? What do we throw over the fence? That kind of thing.
What do you have to add to that, Marie?
I was just going to say, as we were bringing on these specialists and releasing more of the to them, it changes our role. it makes our role be the facilitator or making them work as a team, because they're specialists in theirs, but it's very important because we have this notion that the brand is the same whoever we're working through or with. And I know that Celeste spends a lot of her time just looking at these specialists as the team and making sure that they're all cross fertilizing each other and sharing and all of that. And that's a very important role as you move to this kind of model.
And also the other part is affiliate. You know, we've made our resellers affiliates because they realized their physical locations were a limitation. And so they all wanted to have access to virtual platforms. So instead of doing their own, they now leverage ours. And that's our biggest opportunity, is now all their consumers are coming to our platform.
Yeah, that's great.
So now how do we honor them and keep them, revenue share with them, but also how do we grow that and actually nurture that? Because we know we can produce better results than they were in retail. We know that. So and they know that. That's why they're bringing there. So how do we do that? But more importantly, simultaneously to that, so they're online now with a platform where they can take the creative these guys are doing, everything they're doing, and push that forward to all of their consumers with a push of a button.
So
right?
Fred, you essentially have a library of content, and then you're using some of it for direct-to-consumer advertising, and then they can take the content and push it out to their audiences separately?
The other influencers?
Well, they're basically the affiliates. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're leveraging our push, but their consumers are opting into those pushes
Okay.
through that affiliate
Okay, got it.
platform.
And Fred, something that Celeste mentioned to me is that she, as the brand, really values educating the agencies. And so can you talk a little bit about how you were educated on the product and how intense maybe that education was and how it's helped you really be able to create content that works?
Yeah, I think it's a must if you're in DR or in marketing to really try the product that you're marketing. If you can't love it, then like how are you supposed to sell it? Or how are you supposed to, if you don't know the product, how are you supposed to like get other people to know it and then go and buy it? So I actually went through a skin
Look how good
coach.
his skin is. Look at that.
My first ever. So I quickly dove through your guys' funnel, went through the skin coaching sessions, used all the products, and been continually using them. And from that, like you learn all the ins and outs, and you really put yourself in the shoes of the consumer to understand like what their pain points are. One thing that's really great about the skin coaching session is that she's not like trying to sell you on the actual products. You come in with what your problems are, and then she tells you how to like solve them. Like I have these terrible bags under my eyes that have gotten so much better, but like she was able to coach me through like why that happens, and I really understand my issue so that I know how to have the tools now to solve it, which is a huge value add. That's the challenge of all of our creative, is getting all of that value that you get from a coaching session like into a small bite-sized ad and getting it across.
And I know, Celeste, you mentioned that sometimes you could have up to 18 people on a Zoom call, and they're all specialists. Like somebody is the Facebook specialist, somebody is the Instagram specialist, then you have creative, then you have influencer, then you have whatever the case may be. And talk about how that ecosystem really backs into this ecosystem for making sure everything's going forward.
I think the beautiful thing about it is we've developed an ecosystem. You know, it all feeds off of each other. And so what happens is, you know, our ad team and our, you know, email team and the people managing our text messages, and what happens, you know, and when I say ad, it's all the different things, Facebook, Instagram, you know, what we do traditionally. But, you know, what they do is by seeing those metrics, seeing what performs, it informs our social and our content development team who are doing video and doing all these other things to really say, okay, well, I love what I'm doing. This has a great result when I do a reel on Instagram, but it's really not shot well to go back into what you need. More importantly, while I'm shooting, if I could be a little informed, I might be able to capture other things with this influencer or this live event that would be useful. I might not natively just go for that, but now that I know what he does, now that I know what that team does, I'm going to think about that shooting a little differently. We shoot every week, right? So because we're shooting, we shoot all authentic stuff for our posting and all that. So in that every week shoot, you know, we hopefully now, it's not perfect at all. These guys are continuing to help educate, and we're getting better and better at it, but it is influenced by that dialogue that we have in our meetings, right? And more importantly, it's influenced by what we're learning through the physical things that we do, because obviously we still do all the traditional stuff. I mean, our hotels have tents on the restaurant table, and you know, we have the video footage on the TV when you check in. So there's a lot of the traditional direct response types of things that we're doing that marry with what we're doing with evolution of digital.
Well, here's an example. We have a social team that's out shooting that user content and so on, or product and in the wild kind of thing. And, you know, their view of the world is Instagram, Square.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, maybe Fred's world is he wants to do a Facebook ad, or my world where I say, you know, I can't take a square photo. I am going to take a 16:9 photo because I want to do a landscape on the homepage. By just sensitizing them to that and having this dialogue all together, we get the content. They're shooting in line, they're doing the same thing, but now they're making it so much useful that we can, permeate it through the whole system.
And it also helps with the consistency of how our brand appears across all the touches. It feels like we're running a book that has all these chapters versus 20 books. You know what I mean?
Great. We're almost at time, so I did want us to talk, if you have any other comments in terms of like a round robin, key takeaways for our audience to make sure you do this, or what is your number one tip? Fred?
For paid social, it's really like stay on top of the trends. It's ever evolving, to Maurice's point. Like 2 years ago, it used to be like in the no videos, with text overlay, no sound. Now it is almost driven by sound. So it's constantly evolving, and if you're not on social media paying attention to like the trends, you're gonna get left behind and not know how to sneak your brand into people's minds.
Maurice?
I would say it's this notion of collect and share. We're collecting all of this amazing information and content and feedback, and how do we make sure that it can be found and permeated through the whole process of building that relationship.
Continuity.
Yeah.
Brand continuity. Celeste, final word.
Bury the hatchet. And the reason I say it, I heard a lot of it here. I hear it all the time everywhere we are. We tend to function in silos. Oh, those are the brand guys. Those are the ad guys. We're at war. You guys, we're at war that we're all going to lose if we don't get together. And what we've learned is all of us we need each other to be successful and to survive. And we're better together than we are apart. So no one's a threat. The threat is you not evolving. And I think that's the message. I'm saying that to myself because I'm old. Like, you have to evolve. You got to stay relevant, and you have to be open that you can learn and grow and develop. And we're better. I'm better because of these amazing people. And our brand is the most successful it's ever been because we are finding ways to bring everyone into the fold and realize everybody brings value to that equation.
I like the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
Good.
So, all right, I think we'll open it up for questions from the audience.
Celeste, I was noticing your website. And there's no videos on there selling product. So, in other words, if you have so many great products, why don't you take advantage of people going to your website and try and make a sale out of it? And I can do that for you.
So we have over 400 videos on our website. So if you go to the website, you'll see that there are videos. So there's a video tab on every page, and you'll see on product pages there's video tabs. There's videos in our About Us. There's videos throughout. But I will say that one of the things we're evolving, to your point, is you'll see an evolution of our site over the next. We're forecasting that there will be no static pictures on any product page within a year. So to your point, people want to see video. They want to see how the product looks, how it feels. So we're now moving those videos to actually be the thumbnails on every product page, so you won't look at a static picture.
I didn't see that. I saw your videos where you introduced yourself and everything, but I didn't see a specific video that says, this is what this product does, this is why you should get it. And then offer it for sale, give them a discount or something.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that feedback, and we'll look at that. But definitely, if you go, I mean, if you're on our homepage, there's a place to click right there and watch a video of our facial club. It invites you to then click through and purchase, things like that.
Yeah, so what we're doing is, again, this is technology evolution. We had tucked away videos under tabs called videos, and people don't look there and they don't care. All of those are in a process of being migrated up to being at the main level, so that's really what, instead of a static image, there will be a video.
Yeah, so we just literally
We're in
just
the
ported it
process
over.
of doing that.
So check back in like 30 days, you should see it. But yeah.
I'm going to give you a card at the end of this.
Okay, great. I'd love that. Yeah, definitely. But we are huge fans. We know that video sells for sure.
Other questions? Anyone?
Sorry.
Great.
But it does.
Hi, I'll be your skin coach today, so I'll be your ongoing resource to achieving and maintaining healthy skin. So to start out with in your routine, I think the exfoliating cleanser would be great for you. So if you want to reach over there on the second row of the display, you should be able to try it. And if you could squeeze a little bit out on your hand, then you can see it has jojoba beads in there, so they're perfectly spherical, so they're safe enough to use every day. And it has a nice sandy texture, which I really like, but it also contains redness reducing ingredients in there as well, so you'll be able to really smooth the texture of your skin while cleansing. I'm so happy I was able to help you with your selection today, and the good news is once you go home, I'll still be just as accessible to you. So I have your information, so if it's okay, I'd love to follow up with you when you get home to make sure you're seeing all the best results and answer any questions you may have. But if anything comes up before then, you can always download the My Skin Authority app and hit a button either to give me a call, send me an email, or even FaceTime again like we did today, so we can stay connected.
We use technology to scale the human knowledge, not to eliminate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. And Tom, you want to round us out for the
Thank you,
event?
Thank you all. Let's have a round of applause for our folks here. Thank you, Celeste, for coming. Maurice, Fred, and of course, Lindsey, thank you for moderating. We appreciate everyone's support here at PDMI West. Make it a great last couple hours. Meeting hall's still open till 5, so we'll hope to see you in Miami. Take care. Bye-bye.